I'm calling this segment, and I'm thinking I'm going to start doing this for our future BIPOC episodes. This segment is called Dear White People. Subject in particular is we need to show and speak of the dichotomy. We need to talk about it because I think that we need to educate people on what exactly it means to be one of these things. You know what I'm saying? And there's a huge difference between the two. Anybody can go first.
This is just mainly to like white allies. Like when we're trying to have like a discussion with another person of color, it's just like they always have to intervene and then gaslight one or the other. And I feel like the only thing that they really need to do is just learn to uplift and listen. That's it. You don't need to intervene when people of color are having a discussion and you may not agree with one of them. It's not your place. Your place is just to listen. We're still working on understanding one another. So when you come in, all you do is cause further division and gaslight one of the whoever you're on the opposing side of. So I think for white allies, what they can do is honestly just uplift. That's all I can say, really. Like I do like white allies. It's just a lot of them, when you call them out for doing something problematic, now all of a sudden they're defensive and they no longer want to be an ally. Now all of a sudden it's white fragility comes in. Now all of a sudden they're the victim. So I feel like if they're better off just listening than speaking over. That's my take on it.
So basically what I heard you say, and I say this all the time, and I equate that to even like when you guys are speaking, because like I'm saying, double minority, you guys are women of color, but also just not forget you guys are women, is not so much speak for us, but amplify. Or better yet, as I like to say, I'm not going to tweet for you, but I will retweet what y'all saying. You know what I'm saying? If that's basically what you're trying. And I'm trying to make this educational for people, because I think people, yeah, we'll talk about that offline, King.
Also,
we'll talk
just to like,
offline.
Just
Go
to
ahead.
add to it, stop asking people of color for like, this is to white allies, like, or anyone who's like an ally to any specific group. Stop asking them for research. Do your own research. Like, I hate when they ask you questions like, oh, what is this? Or what is that? If you don't go read a book, like, oh my God.
I completely agree. That was exactly what I was going to say. Stop asking us for free emotional labor. Stop it. This shit ain't cute. I don't want to have to sit here and tell you about the trauma I've endured or the racism that I've endured because you can't read a book. Like, I don't understand how that's racist. Google it. It's not hard. Just Google it and stop speaking over us and stop looking for the palatable person of color, ignoring angry person of color, because I'm really sick and tired of, like, I'll say something in a Facebook comment or something like that, and they'll sit there and agree with me, and I'll scroll through the comments and I see them arguing the exact same point a dark-skinned woman had made, but she didn't say it nicely. We don't have to say it nicely because it's 2021. Slavery was how many years ago?
You better talk, girl. I'm taking my shoes off. Hold on real quick. Y'all got me. Hold on.
I'm just seeing it. And me being light-skinned and mixed, I hear it all the time. I have people going, what's a microaggression? Or they say something to try to say that they're an ally. I don't care if you're black, brown, white, blue, or green, or purple. Shut up. Shut up.
I don't.
We're talking about a black issue. Shut up.
That
exactly. I don't tolerate. Exactly. And it's like, yes, you do. Yes, you do.
How do you stop at traffic lights if you don't see color?
Can I just say I love y'all real quick? Like, to completely interrupt y'all, I love you guys so much. Hey, yo, good Lord. E, what you got?
Just a quick little story time. You know, I think it was junior year, so last year, right before the pandemic. We got separated into groups, different ethnicities and all of that. And I was talking about, like, a lot of people think that Japan is very much just anime. Like, we have traditional culture from before. And this one girl who's white savior complex, like, thinks that just that. I was like, there's more than just anime. And I just thought, everybody that was in the group would understand that, because I thought we were all like, open ears, open heart, like, open brain. She was like, no, really? Wait, can you tell me more? I was like,
Can I say this? Can I say this real quick?
Yeah.
Dear white people, I'm just gonna say it just like this. Y'all took extra time to learn how to do our dances. Please learn our damn history and stop. Why do you know how to do our dances, but you don't know nothing about the people that made us, our forefathers? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you know that, everybody knows about George Washington Carver making peanut butter, but the fact that y'all know more about the dances that y'all see on, what's that game, Fortnite, but y'all don't know jack squat about, like, our history. And then the fact that you don't know, you look to us like the Black Glossary. Anybody remember encyclopedias? Like, I don't have a doctorate in niggaology. Like, go read a damn book and go. I'm serious. Like, go read a damn book. You know what I'm saying? You spend all this time learning our dances and literally, say it again, Sarah. Say that again. Willful ignorance. You know what I'm saying? Like, just cut it out, dog. Cut it out, dog. Like, it's lazy. We call that slacktivism, which is whacktivism. And if you come at me with that BS, you're going to get this smacktivism. I'm not going to breastfeed adults. So please don't come at me and want to take the time to learn my history. But then, like, as my sister just said, if it doesn't sound nice, guess what? Deal with it. I'm sorry, but deal with it. Like, and go, and you know what? Maybe they might just be a little too rough, but why are they angry? Or better yet, what did you do that got them turned up like that? You know what I'm saying?
Or
I'm going off.
Oh, go ahead, Emily. You have to go.
I was just gonna say, like, that woman was just very she was older than me. She was, like, I think a year and a half older than me, and it's just like she was the type of girl who's, like, obsessed with anime. And I was like, if you're going to be obsessed with one part of our culture, why don't you learn about, like, the traditional part of our culture? And, like,
I already... again.
Huh?
You better say that one more time for the good folk in the back. Go ahead.
If you're going to learn about one aspect of our culture, learn about the other parts. Oh, and then she brought chopsticks to school. Just this one specific girl brought chopsticks to school. Okay, so, like, in Japanese culture, you're not supposed to stick chopsticks completely straight up because that represents a grave. And I told her, I'm like, hey, like, I know your intentions aren't bad, but can you just not do that? Like, that's extremely disrespectful, especially because, chopsticks have a cultural, like, background behind them. And she tried to tell me I was wrong. So, yeah, that's all.
To kind of piggyback off that, that's like hearing these white allies whenever we present them with something like, hey, you're doing something that's got real mad white supremacist vibes. Then you hear the stupid shit that comes out of their mouth. Like, well, did you know Black people sold their people? And that's why they sold their people into slavery to the white Europeans and all this other shit. Like, you hear just the dumbest things that they haven't done any of their research on. They don't bother to figure out the cultural aspects of the fact that there were tribes and there was punishment and everything like that. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just waiting. But have you ever noticed, and tell me if I'm wrong, people who bring that argument up about Black people owning slaves and selling slaves. They don't even tell you who they're speaking of. I have literally had to go under posts and say, his name is XYZ, and what you're saying, da 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 da. Like, you can't even tell me what the man's name was, but you want to bring him up as an example? Like, that makes no sense.
Every time.
Why do I know who he is? Yet you don't, but you are weaponizing him as your example as to why y'all not wrong.
Or you'll get those white allies who are like, but look what I've done for the Black community. I've done more for the Black community than what Black people have done for the Black community. Or you'll get the ones who will say, there was
I'm out.
What is his name? I can't remember his name, but he was an Asian activist. And there was a white man who lives, I think it was Korea, and he called American Koreans westernized and said they were not Asian enough. There are white people who get involved in POC's culture and then feel like they're more Asian or more Black. We have white people who get in Black culture and think that they're more Black than the actual person who is Black.
Wait, a white man said that?
Yeah, a white man said that. He said that he called them westernized. He said the Asians who are in America are westernized and they don't actually know their culture. And I know more about your culture than you do. I forgot his name.
Why are they westernized though, baby? Why?
It's funny though. There's a woman on TikTok who apparently has a husband or a boyfriend that she goes and visits in Africa. And she went there one time for like 2 months. And when she came back, she felt it was okay to comment under Black women's posts about how much more she knows about Africa or African culture or African American culture because she went there for 2 months.
This annoys the hell out of me as a Christian. You know what I'm saying? The fact that y'all want to take pictures with my brothers and sisters in Africa, but you treat the nigga down the street like trash. Like, can we stop talk about y'all are charitable? I'm not racist. Look, I gave these starving African kids juice boxes. I'm not racist. Like, I retweeted that Black guy's tweet. I'm not racist. I took pictures at a Black Lives Matter protest. Like, so you showed up to a Black Lives Matter protest. The devil goes to church. What the hell does your attendance mean anything to me? Because you could go to a protest, but it don't mean that you are actually benefiting the message in which that we are trying to convey to people. So and
when they record at protests, what they don't understand, I didn't even understand, I actually had to learn this, was that the videos you take and you post online, police actually use that to track down protesters and basically hit them with like crimes and all these things. They did that in Chicago. They were looking through Twitter and getting all the videos from the protests to find certain protesters. So if you're not actually blurring out the people, you're not really doing anything. And the fact that a lot of white people who show up to our protests just record and then leave and then post on their social media for clout.
Exactly. Read the new Jim Crow. Go to a protest. Yeah, that's fine. But show your face and blur out everybody else's, because I'm really sick and tired of y'all contributing mass incarceration and still claiming that you're an ally.
Can I say this? My aesthetic is not your hashtag. My aesthetic is not your hashtag. You don't make me mad, and this makes me mad more than anything. People that use, like, for instance, like this this stream, right? I have the hashtags Black Lives Matter, Stop Asian Hate, BIPOC, or POC Unity. Unless I'm actually going to talk about those things in said content, I'm not going to use those hashtags. Why? Because I'm not about to commercialize something that is not circulated to that, specific issue, but yet, like you ain't even talking about it. Like, y'all be putting Stop Asian Hate and you're cutting up cucumbers in your kitchen. What the hell does that have to do with anything? Like,
but you know what? The thing that's funny is that So I've gotten in the habit of saying, when people, like a lot of people come in my live and say things like, do you support BLM? I don't know what the fuck BLM is, because for me, it's Black Lives Matter. There's a difference between the organization and the movement. So by you saying BLM, to me, that's your hashtag. That's a trend that a lot of non-Black people, or even the Stop the Hate movement, people who were not Asian or were not Black, it was a trend. They needed to feel like they were a part of something, because by putting that in their bio or putting that on their posts or whatever, made them look like decent human beings. And that was the extent of what they thought about it.
Protests and stuff like that, in which, when we're like, for instance, we're in spaces like this, you know, and I need people to kind of understand this. And Eb, you can use this cookie or nugget for your conversation tomorrow, but know the spaces that you are in, accomplices, when I say this. Because when I say this, like, for instance, we were having a conversation about Black women's hairstyles. Other than to just amplify what they're saying, I'm not going to speak for them. There's no reason when I go to like these like panels about, you know, Black Lives Matter or systematic oppression and stuff. Like, we need y'all to have these conversations with people when the cameras aren't rolling. Like, don't do this performance-based activism stuff. Like, and no, the key, I want you to hear what I'm saying. Like, I don't want you to talk about the Black experience if you're not going to let somebody from the Black community speak about the Black experience. Same thing about the Asian experience. I'm never going to speak over I'm not going to speak over Kai or Jonathan or other people I've had on here that come from that community when it's the affliction that is happening to that community. I think that's important, because I don't know how many times I've been going to these little protests and they're like 8 white people that speak, but then like 1 Black person, but then there'd be like 100 Black folk in the like crowd and stuff. You could easily hand the mic off to these people. This is not your experience. We appreciate you providing this space, but you are a guest. And you need to acknowledge that. Stop going up in our fridge and eating stuff out of our cabinets and stuff like that if you aren't willing to acknowledge whose house it is or whose space it is. That's just my thoughts. Key, you had something to challenge that?
No, I was just gonna say was that at least here in Chicago, so many white people are filling the spaces in these organizations that are fighting for, like, against police brutality. Are y'all filling spaces in these organizations? I don't understand it. Like, it's fine that they can be there, but why are you speaking? Like, not only are they getting involved in these organizations, they're also speaking during these like conferences and things like that. So I don't feel like white people, when it comes to like organizations or like protests, should be speaking at all. Like, I agree with you on that. Like, they don't need to be speaking. If anything, they should be there to educate themselves and be there to basically, when cops, because this happens every time at protests, when cops start to get like messy and things like that, white people dip. They're the scariest motherfuckers. They're the scariest people ever. Because when it comes to cops, like, we all like basically like huddle around, everybody get together. These people are gone, nowhere to be found. I swear to God, they'd be the majority at the protests, because there's so many like white people who come out to these protests, and they be gone. And they be the ones starting it. They be the ones like provoking the police, and then they'll leave. They don't even use their body as a shield. So like, I don't even really like white people at like protests. I don't, because I just don't trust them. For some fact, I think majority of them are there to videotape. Or I know when things get rough, you're gonna leave me anyway. I ain't gonna be safe. So why are y'all there? You know what I mean?
Man, you ever seen Everybody Hate Chris? Chris's friend Craig, he dipped out every time the bully came around. He let Chris get beat up every doggone time. I think like that's another thing. It's like people think of, I think I talked to you about this, Key. Every night before a protest, I can't sleep because I don't know what's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, JFK got shot while riding in his car. And I say that not to say, like, I'm not trying to like scare folk, but like, this is life or death. Like, we out here not because we like it. You understand me? Like, this ain't cool to us.
I have noticed that allies like to sit there and quote Dr. King a lot without actually having any knowledge of Dr. King at all. They just quote all of his famous quotes. But then if you go ahead and you quote, say, Malcolm X or some other pro-Black civil rights leader, then they sit there and they go, oh, no, see, that's too radical. This is my life. This is my kid's life. Bitch, I'm radical. Get over it. And it's annoying to sit. It's like they use Dr. King as a monolith for how we should act, but then don't realize that Dr. King has said riot is the language of the unheard. We ain't gonna act right when y'all keep killing us. Don't expect that. And don't try to weaponize Dr. King against me to be complacent and obedient. That's not an ally. I'm done with allies.
I want to add something to what Just said. If you notice, allies tend to only bring up the people that they have talked about in history books, that they learned in history in class, which we only learned about people who were unproblematic. We learned about Rosa Parks. She was not the first person to not get up on a bus. It was Claudette Colvin. We learned about Martin Luther King because they want to push this peaceful narrative, not knowing that you talk about him, yet you don't realize the government killed him. He didn't die from a gunshot wound. He died in the hospital. But nobody wants to talk about that because all they want to do is push the narrative that he tried to accomplish things peacefully. So it's the fact that these allies who claim to be wholeheartedly behind us don't even take the time to really research and unlearn and learn the truth of these same people that they're speaking about. That is all.
One of the things that we always have to tell people is they're like, well, I don't like that they get kind of they get a little rowdy and stuff like that. I think people don't really understand like what it means to have like, this is PTSD. I need y'all to stop like normalizing this crap. This is not like, when I tell people like, how dignified are you going to be trying to break chains off of yourself? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not, and I'm also, hold on. Like, I am, how do I say this? I'm, you know, MrLeadWithLove and everything like that. But my Lord and Savior also busted the whip out. You know what I'm saying? Like, he had to do that. And when I say this, it's like, I'm not saying like, yo, when things turn up and and you see people about to do some crazy stuff, like, if you think your safety is in danger because of the people at the actual protests, I think that's a given. Maybe you should dip out. When I say they may be like literally inflicting damage on you, you probably had the wrong sea of people. You know what I'm saying? You know, but I don't want you guys to equate anger and passion to radicalism and what's the word? Like they're like unhinged. You know what I'm saying? Like acknowledge the fact that we have PTSD, but don't look at us like as if we are what's the word? Like don't otherize us. You need to learn more how to humanize us, if that makes sense. Oh, and I'll you know what? I'll let E say. Yeah, I'll say it because she's tired over there. White people, stop using anime characters as your profile picture. And if y'all like, you can't fall in love with my anime. You can't fall in love with anime, but not fall in love with the fact that like everything that comes with the culture. You don't get to pick and choose what part of the recipe you want to cook. Either cook it right or don't cook it at all. Period.
Could be the K-pop stands. They're the worst.
K-pop stands will always try to talk over actual Asians. They are, as a East Asian, like obviously I'm going to support, my friends, but like at the same time, it's like you have this like these radical white fans that are just like, well, I know about Asian culture because I listen to BTS. Like I'm excited for the BTS McDonald's collab, so I am cultured. What? Like, no. I hate to break it to you. No. That's not how that works. We are not just like, K-pop. We're not. Also, like people just think that like all Asians are like East Asians. Like, no.
Allies, don't turn up if we don't turn up. Does that make sense? Like, if we ain't snapping, you damn sure ain't allowed to be snapping, because if the cops come, they're not coming for you. But one of the things that Key was saying is like she had like white people at like her protest that were starting stuff, and then when they dipped out, they weren't ready to take the rap for it. If you wanted to expound on that a little bit.
They never are. So like it was the one that we did for Adam Toledo, and when the protest was nice, it was like 3,000 people. They had like the Aztec dancers there. Like it was a really beautiful ceremony. And toward the end, like the police had to be fucking assholes, because basically majority of everyone was leaving. Like it was that smooth. They just couldn't allow people to go home. So I was already walking back. Like, here's the street, here's this. I just crossed the street and I just heard like people screaming. So I run back to like where people were, and like one of the police had grabbed someone and threw him in the car. So like I run back to where the circle is, and everyone forms a circle around the car, the police car, not allowing them to leave. Everybody. So then all the police start coming. But I guess what had started it was police were saying something to like, we're saying something, but what they were doing was they were using a taser, making like a taser noise. And someone had called it out or whatever, but there were so many white people there. Like majority of the people there were like white people. So like when they grabbed the girl and they threw her in, all the black people, all like the Hispanic people, we all run to the car. White people ran to the sidewalk and they didn't even leave. They were recording it from the sidewalk while we're trying to push the car back and, you know, like basically hold our stance. They ended up leaving. Obviously more police came in riot gear and it went left from there. But no. And then like other protests I've been to, like white people will really start stuff like screaming in their faces, basically provoking them. And what we say is like, everyone calm, everyone stay together, everyone form a circle. No, I just don't trust white people at protests. Like something about them just makes me very uneasy. And then that protest too, like it was weird. That was the weirdest protest. The Adam Toledo one was weird. People would come in like into the middle of it, and then they would leave, get out, go on the sidewalk, and then start walking, and then randomly come back in. Like there were so many people coming in and out, and they were wearing like the full like masks that go like this and like a hoodie. It was so sketchy. That was the most sketchiest protest I've ever been to. And the fact that there were so many white people and then they all left. Well, before they left, they just stood on the sidewalk and watched us. Worst part of it all. Yeah, I don't trust white people at protests. I don't.
I think the issue is, though, that people who consider themselves allies have a choice that some of us do not have. And that in itself...
Queen, please say that for the people in the back. There's somebody sleeping in the back of the church. Can you say that one more time? They wiping the crust out of their eyes. One more time for me, Queen. If you could do that for me, please.
Absolutely. The issue with allies is that they have a choice that some of us do not have. And within that choice becomes the distrust that we have. Because you have people who... I'm not knocking all white people, because there are white people who will give their life for me and my children just as they would themselves. That's why I say a lot of times accomplices don't have to advertise that they are accomplices. They lead their life in a manner in which you already know by the way they behave, by the way they act. But when it comes to allies, it's that choice. And more recently, I'm not going to say his name, but there was a big creator who had a take that was different than the Black communities and was being attacked, I guess, on their take. And they deleted all their videos and said, I'm taking a break. Well, baby, the same people that you were talking about, you're an ally to, cannot take a break.
I know who you're talking about.
Like these people that you claim to love and seek justice on, can't take a break.
What happened? Who was saying something?
How many people were in like Black allies were in the comments like, oh, like I understand. Like, really, you guys? Really? Like, you're gonna allow like this person to just take a break and quit because they got critiqued? And like the excuse for the critique was, oh, I was getting like death threats. Yeah, welcome to being a person of color.
Let me tell you though. So they popped into somebody's live that I was in, and they said in their own words, I need to make it clear that the death threats and things were not the problem. So you mean to tell me you had a hard time with people verbally disagreeing and saying how they felt with you? You weren't worried about death threats. And even if you were, that still proves the same point. But what was the point? I have to take a break. They needed a mental health break. Now, I am not trying to underplay anybody's mental health because I have my own issues with it as well. But some of us can't take a break. We got life, children, jobs, and then some of us, and by saying some of us, I'm not necessarily including myself because I understand it as light as I am, I have privilege. But I say us as in Black community can't take a break from being Black, from being judged by their skin color. There are Asian people who cannot, they're Asian. They can't take a break. BIPOC people cannot take a break. So it's nice that you as a white person, a white ally, can take a break. And that choice to take a break is the problem.
I agree. I've actually, I've been talking with my friends about, everything that's been going on and Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. And at one point I had a friend literally tell me, because I said I was tired. I said, I'm so tired. I'm so sick and tired of being tired. And they said, well, it's a choice. You don't have to.
Excuse me?
About this. Yes. And I'm like, it's not a choice for me. Whether I'm light skinned or not, I am Black presenting. My sons are Black. I do not have a choice to speak out about this. But you gonna sit there and tell me that, you arguing on the internet about a meme or something. But you had that choice. You get to walk away. You get to ignore it. I don't. So don't try to discredit me. And I see that a lot with white allies and just white people in general. They literally think it's a choice for us to speak out about systemic racism and literally us dying. And it's baffling, to be honest.
I think what it is, it's I tell people, they're like, well, I'm tired of you always talking about racism. Imagine what it's like to experience it all the time. You know what I'm saying? They describe microaggressions as a death by 1,000 cuts, I think it is. But that, this is literally, Eb, I was supposed to have you on the podcast the week of the Derek Chauvin trial. I texted you, I ain't doing it. I was like, look, I feel bad. I felt heavily convicted in my spirit, but I was like, I can't go. I can't, because I do, people think and that's another thing, activism isn't just what you do on camera or making videos. It's what you're also doing behind the scenes. Are you signing petitions? Are you donating to these organizations that are doing the work? Are you pointing people in direction to these people that are doing the work? Are you actually educating and equipping yourself? Because it's just what I think it was either it was Jess and Eb, and it was basically my sisters is just, first off, they cooking. Okay, I don't even have to do anything this episode, to be honest, but it's make sure you equip yourself before you take the title or even use the hashtag Black Lives Matter, because somebody is going to look for the fringe example and gonna be like, well, they clearly don't know what they talk about. You know why? Because this one said this. You know what I'm saying? It's just for me as a Christian, you know what I mean? My public witness is always being watched. If I'm going to claim the title as something, I better exhibit that behavior. I better capitulate the language that comes with that lifestyle. I better act like it. You know what I'm saying? It's not, that's why when some people look at, I'll say it like this. Being an accomplice is not a noun. It is a verb. You know what I'm saying? You don't, it's not a title. It's a job description. You know what I'm saying? It's not even a job. You know what I mean? But knowing that it is the action itself, not the name that comes with it. you know, just because, like, and I say this even with like the police officers, plenty of people got a badge. Don't mean they should be the police.